Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Today, we're talking with someone from the Pavarillo House. But first 20 minutes of the program, we'll talk about what happened in Ferguson last night and around the country as far as protests are concerned. You can call in at 436-ME-TV option 11. We'll also play some clips from that interview with the officer, Darren Wilson. Back in a moment. And welcome back to the program here on Comcast Channel 187 and 43.6. And of course, now you can watch us on 13.1, all 3 stations live each Monday through Friday here at 10 o'clock on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. You can catch the replay anytime at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 13.6, that would be YouTube, and also 8 o'clock tonight, 13.5, that would be Biz TV. And then after that, well, you can catch us. We have our own YouTube channel in a few days. This show and many others, more than 600 now, and counting in the last 3 years, are up on YouTube, so you can watch them at your leisure. Hey, even if you can't sleep at night at 3 in the morning, just pull up one of those shows on YouTube and spend your night watching Connect with Me if you want. Anyway, I want to talk in the first 20 minutes here, and 436-ME-TV option 11 is the telephone number, about the situation and the condition of Ferguson, Missouri overnight. What happened there? Relative calm in Ferguson last night compared to Monday night. And what happened? They finally called the National Guard in, more than 2,000 troops. And of course, Jay Nixon, the governor there, calling him in. He's criticized, being heavily criticized. Well, he was criticized yesterday and today by the mayor of Ferguson for waiting too long to call in the National Guard. They called in the National Guard way too late in terms of damage. They waited until buildings were burning, cars were ablaze, businesses and other businesses were destroyed and people were hurt. There was a 20-year-old on Monday night, an African-American 20-year-old who was sitting in his car, minding his own business. He was shot in the head, dead upon arrival at the hospital. So a lot of violence going on Monday night, but last night, relative calm, only a few shots fired. Windows were smashed at City Hall in Ferguson. There were 2 FBI agents that were in a hotel room. They came out briefly just on the outskirts of Ferguson. They were shot, not seriously though. One was shot in the arm. I think one was may have been shot on the shoulder. A police car was also overturned in the city of Ferguson last night. Check it out.
But they are throwing things at it, and at this point they have broken the windows. There goes the smashed window, and once again we're trying to overturn the car, which is what started last night's contentious, and they have succeeded in overturning that police car on this street. Obviously there's no officer in there, at least I don't think there is, but and the car will come back, which is pretty normal. These folks they seem to be pretty proud of themselves at this stage of the game. But we'll go ahead and widen out here just a little bit to show you how many are in this area. I would say 50 to 75, could be close to 100. They're now being illuminated by the police department, which I'm going to take this back out of here. And we have lighted. There's obviously a fire near the car. I don't know that it's at the car, but it does appear as though that is what people are trying to do, is illuminate the car and set it on fire. Not illuminate, but set the car on fire. They all seem to have moved back just a little bit now. That's in front of Ferguson City Hall, just so you have a reference point for those of you who are familiar with the area. Now we've got rocks being thrown at City Hall. At least I assume they're rocks, because I can't think of anything else that's happening. And we're going to just stay with this for a while. I'll give you a running narration as best I can, because the protesters here have actually turned quite violent once again.
Yeah, they turned quite violent, but not quite like Monday night, and it makes you wonder where the National Guard was on Monday night. I just keep thinking over and over again, it's like the governor of Missouri just let this whole thing happen and unfold right before his eyes and everyone's eyes in front of the entire country. Only the police were on hand. They were totally ill-equipped to handle what was going on in Ferguson on Monday night. 436-MeTV option 11 if you want to call in and weigh in here on the program. Protests once again last night for the second night in a row nationally, all across the nation, from New York to Minneapolis to Los Angeles, even in Oakland. Here are some of the riots in Chicago that took place. Not really riots, but protests in Los Angeles. They were, blocking highways and streets as they were in the city of Oakland, burning trash, blocking 580. Blocking traffic. In New York, they had to shut down Times Square and they shut down the Manhattan Bridge. In Minneapolis, a most scary scene as a car plowed through a crowd of protesters. Watch what happens to a young woman who is dragged by a car. It kind of makes you wonder. We've all suffered to a certain extent some type of injustice in this world throughout our lifetimes. If we live long enough, we're going to be subjected to some kind of injustice. What point does it serve to go down, burn a building, throw rocks and bottles through glasses at City Hall, try to injure people like what you saw in Minneapolis? That was so graphic and so disturbing, and some of the protests around the country have been very disturbing. And what's even more disturbing is the fact that the president should be more outraged than what he appears to be. Not accusing the president of anything, but why was the National Guard not called out earlier in Ferguson? The other thing is, I lived through the Vietnam War as a child. I remember back in the 60s and 70s, all the protests across the country. From Kent State, there was a shooting there. The protest in Berkeley, right near my home in Sacramento. I remember all of those. But what I've seen the last couple of nights is totally more widespread than what I saw in the 60s and the 70s, including the Chicago riots, because those were isolated incidents, and this appears to be more widespread. As you may know, Darren Wilson, the white officer who shot and killed Michael Brown on August the 9th, appeared on ABC News last night with George Stephanopoulos, and he described what happened after it appeared on a piece of videotape that was released when Michael Brown was inside that convenience store, and then he left, and Officer Wilson got the call. We're going to play that interview in just a moment. I will describe it in detail. We do have a phone call coming in. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, John, and early happy Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, too. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. The thing is that I don't know if you've heard the latest I was listening to CNN, and the word is that, as we know, the governor had thought of sending out the National Guard to take care of the town. Well, apparently they said that the reason he didn't let him go is because somehow from the White House he got the orders not to send them.
Okay. Well, I don't know that to be true. It's what you heard on CNN recently. Well, I appreciate the phone call very much. It's hard to know what to believe, and basically the grand jury report was released, I believe, Monday night or early Tuesday. I read through the entire thing. So, you know, it boils down to one thing. Either the grand jury believed Darren Wilson or they didn't, and apparently they believed his testimony. So when the grand jury report is released, thus there's going to be a segment of the population that either believes that testimony or they're not going to believe it. Obviously, the ones that are protesting and rioting and destroying businesses across the country, including in Ferguson, do not believe Darren Wilson. They don't believe the grand jury report. So thus you have this divide in the country. Getting back to the interview with Darren Wilson, he described at the moment that he got the call about the robbery at the convenience store, he actually started driving toward the scene, and we have another call, so let's take that, and I'll get to that in a moment. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air. Caller, you there? Hello? Give you one more shot, caller. You there? I guess not. That's okay. As Darren Wilson was driving to the scene, he happened upon Dorian Johnson and Michael Brown walking in the middle of the street. He pulled up in his squad vehicle, his SUV, asked them to get out of the middle of the street, asked them to walk up on the sidewalk, and Darren Wilson next described to George Stephanopoulos what happened next.
I'd gone to open the door and get out of the car, and when I did so, as I was opening the door, I said, "Hey, come here for a minute." And that's when he turned and said, "What the are you going to do about it?" and slammed my door shut on me.
Slam the door shut?
Yes. I used my door to try and push him back and yell at him to get back. And again, he just pushed the door shut and just stares at me. And as I look back at him, all of a sudden, punches start flying.
He threw the first punch?
Yes. He threw the first one and hit me in the left side of my face.
Because, you know, some of the witnesses have said that they saw you trying to pull him into the car.
That would be against every training ever taught to any law enforcement officer. I don't know what or how many hit me after that. I just know there was a barrage of swinging and grabbing and pulling for about 10 seconds.
And then what?
I had reached out my window of my right hand to grab onto his forearm because I was going to try and move him back and get out of the car to where I'm no longer trapped. And when I felt it, I just felt the immense power that he had. I mean, the way I've described it is it was like a 5-year-old holding on to Hulk Hogan. That's just how big this man was.
Hulk Hogan?
He was very large, very powerful man.
You're a pretty big guy.
Yeah, I'm above average.
So you try to grab him, but you feel that force.
Yes. And then as I'm holding him, I see him coming back around with his left hand, and it's in the shape like this, and it comes in through the window and just a solid punch to the right side of my face.
So you're still sitting there figuring out, how do I get out of this?
Yes. I mean, the next thing was, how do I survive? Because I didn't know
How
if
do
I
you survive?
Yes, I didn't know if I'd be able to withstand another hit like that.
So then, a few minutes later, George Stephanopoulos, this aired on ABC News last night and, of course, this morning on Good Morning America, asked Darren Wilson where he keeps his gun. Is he right-handed? Is he left-handed? He said that he keeps it on his right hip. Thus, what happened next?
I take it out and I come up, I pointed at him. And when I said, "Get back or I'm going to shoot you." And then his response, immediately, he grabbed the top of my gun. And when he grabbed it, he said, "You're too much of a to shoot me." And while he's doing that, I can feel his hand trying to come over my hand and get inside the trigger guard and try and shoot me with my own gun. And that's when I pulled the trigger for the first time.
What happened?
It didn't go off. The gun was actually being jammed by his hand on top of the firearm. So I tried again, and again another click. And this time I'm like, this has to work, otherwise I'm going to be dead. He's going to get this gun away from me. Something's going to happen, and I'm going to be dead. So I pull a third time, and it finally goes off.
That was the first time you'd ever used your gun, right?
Yes, it was.
In all your years as a police officer?
Yes.
And then what happens?
He gets even angrier. His aggression, his face, the intensity just increases. And he comes back in at me again. I wasn't looking at him, I was just like, racket, expecting another hit, and I put my gun up and fired. Then I go to exit my car. And when I'm getting out, I use my walkie and I say, "Shots fired, send more cars." And I start chasing after Michael Brown.
Why not stay in the car? He's running away.
Because he's not, my job isn't to just sit and wait. You know, I have to see where this guy goes.
So you felt it was your duty to give chase?
Yes, it was. I mean, that's what we were trained to do.
And he runs out of the car, gets about 30 or 40 feet. You can now get out of the car. You start to follow him. And then he stops?
That's kind of the only question I would have with Darren Wilson.
When he stopped, he turned.
Why didn't he, instead of running after him, maybe call for backup at that point and let him run and see what happens? I don't know if Michael Brown had a weapon at that point, at that time, at that particular moment. But of course, we found out later he was unarmed, but Darren Wilson didn't know that at the time. So why didn't he call for backup? That would be my question, my key $64,000 question to Darren Wilson. At any rate, when he did run away, there were some eyewitnesses who had reported to the news media that Michael Brown had turned around with his hands up. Here's how Darren Wilson responded to that question.
That would be incorrect.
No way?
No way.
So you say he starts to run, does a stutter step, starts to come towards you, and?
At that time, I gave myself another mental check. Can I shoot this guy? Legally, can I? And the question I answered myself was, I have to. If I don't, he will kill me if he gets to me.
Even though he's, what, 35, 40 feet away?
Once he's coming that direction, if he hasn't stopped yet, when's he gonna stop? After he's coming at me and I decide to shoot, I fired a series of shots and paused.
What did you see?
I noticed at least one of them hit him. I don't know where, but I saw his body kind of just flinch a little. And after that, I paused and I again yelled, stop, get on the ground, giving him the opportunity to stop. And he ignored all the commands and he just kept running. And so after he kept running again, I shot another series of shots. And at least one of those hit him because I saw the flinch. Well, this time he's about 15 feet away. So I start backpedaling because he's just getting too close and he's still not stopping. He gets to about 8 to 10 feet, and as he does that, he kind of starts to lean forward like he's going to tackle me. And I looked down my barrel of my gun, and I fired, and what I saw was his head, and that's where it went.
Right in the top of his head?
Yes.
You'd never even shot your gun before, and now a man is dead.
After the supervisor got there, I gave him the brief rundown of what had happened.
What'd you tell him?
I told him that I had to shoot somebody. And he asked me why. I said, well, he had grabbed my gun, and he had charged me, and he was going to kill me.
So you killed him first?
Yes.
Is there anything you could have done differently that would have prevented that killing from taking place?
No.
Nothing?
No.
And you're absolutely convinced, when you look through your heart and your mind, that if Michael Brown were white, this would have gone down in exactly the same way?
Yes.
No question?
No question.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's no question about it. Darren Wilson will never lead a normal life again. Don't know if he's ever going to go back to law enforcement, let alone work in Ferguson as a police officer. His life and the lives of the people surrounding the family of Michael Brown will never be the same either. So 2 lives have been ruined. Michael Brown is dead. Darren Wilson, his life is ruined. His wife is pregnant. And the families of these 2 people, the Michael Brown family, his mother, his father, his relatives, they will never be the same. And the family of Darren Wilson, their lives changed forever as well. Got a call coming in here. Good morning, you're on Connect with Me. What's your question?
Well, I have a comment as an illustration of the fact that not everybody sees and remembers every detail of any incident. You commented just a minute ago that this guy did not call for backup. But in that tape we watched, he did call for backup. I saw him do it when he was in the interview with the guy, George Stephanopoulos.
Well, but my point is, I would have called for backup and also let him go and then waited for that backup or backed off. And then, is the caller still there? You're still there?
Well, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, stay there. Keep her there for a minute. We're having a conversation here. So, I mean, what would you have done in that situation? What do you think Darren Wilson should have done?
Well, I wasn't there, so I really can't say. A lot of situations in life, especially in law enforcement, I'm sure, just like in the military or any other emergency, you don't know what you're going to do because you weren't there and you weren't in it.
Right, and it was a split-second decision, but that was kind of the only question I would put not the only question, but the key $64,000 question. Why didn't you let him go, wait for the backup to arrive, and then see what happens instead of going after him? Wouldn't that be your question too, ma'am?
Well, since I haven't been trained as a police officer, I'm not positive that that would have been my choice. But, you know, there again, I'm just trying to point up the illustration that you have to make split-second decisions in emergency situations. And with a man who is so obviously more powerful than you are, you don't always, you know, you have to be there to understand.
Oh, I know. I'm not passing judgment on Wilson or Brown or his family. I wasn't there. I only have the grand jury testimony to read online. Those are my only facts. I've not interviewed Darren Wilson. I've not interviewed Michael Brown. He's obviously dead. He's not going to talk to anyone now, so we don't have his side of the story, and we never will because he's gone. So, you know...
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Have you ever been confronted in an emergency situation where you personally were threatened by something bigger and stronger and more powerful, and
yes.
you were going to die if you stayed there?
Well, I don't know if I was going to die, but yes, I have been confronted twice with threats from more than one person at a time. This wasn't in this country, but it was overseas. And I'm not a big person in stature, but I stood my ground and I was ready to fight. Don't know why, but I wasn't going to let anybody take advantage of me or my family. This was overseas. One time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A person who is threatened has to make the decision, do I give in or do I fight back?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it goes with everybody, no matter what your job is. You know, it's part of your personality to protect yourself.
So what do you think about all the chaos and the protests and the violence across the country?
Well, I think it's probably based on a lot of misconceptions and misinformation and a lot of anger and arrogance and who knows what else.
But do you think African Americans are justified because of the past injustices?
No, I do not. I don't think any people is justified for this kind of behavior, no matter what the past.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you know, I really appreciate your comments, and thank you for watching the show, and very enlightening, and, you know, I appreciate you calling.
Thank you.
I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. So we're going to continue here on our program. The chaos continues across the country. Don't know how many protests will be going on tonight or any violence tonight coast to coast, but, you know, when you see in Times Square in Manhattan, when you see police in riot gear completely shutting down Times Square, you know something is wrong. The only time that Times Square is really shut down is on New Year's Eve. I mean, I've lived in New York, and I know they shut the place down on New Year's Eve. There's no traffic coming in. There's no traffic going out. It was that way last night because of the potential for violence and protesters going on. The same thing going on in Los Angeles. They were blocking freeways, and in Oakland, they were blocking off 580, one of the busiest highways in the entire state of California. We got another phone call before we move on. Oh, this will be the last one. Good morning, caller. Your comment here on Connect with Me.
Yes, I'm just calling about the case that's been going on in Ferguson, and it was brought to my attention that since January 1st through October, that 331 homicides have occurred in the city of Chicago. And our focus seems to be on one. I think that there's a larger problem here in the black community across the United States than just a white officer shooting a black assailant.
And I think
that's all I had to say.
No, hey, caller, I think you bring up a good point. Leave him there. Caller, you still there?
Yes.
I think you bring up a great point because others have brought up this issue as well. While the president was speaking in Chicago yesterday talking about immigration, the fact of the matter is you have homicides, black-on-black crime going on in Chicago. Why isn't anybody talking about that? And what about the 20-year-old who was shot and killed in Ferguson just sitting in his car? Why? I am outraged about that. I am outraged that there are so many African Americans being killed by other African Americans or anybody We should all be outraged about that, and we should all try to find a solution, a fix. Why aren't we finding a fix after all these decades? I'm in my late 50s. I remember this happening in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, Rodney King in the 90s, and it's still not fixed. Why is it still going on? Do you have an answer to that question? All these decades.
Well, I personally think that you have to go back home to the family unit. Single parenting is not getting the full picture, and I think that there's a lot lacking in the fact that we now accept single parenting as the normal.
And it's got to be more than that.
They need the full family picture on any ethnic background.
It's got to be
black, not white, but everybody. And that's just my opinion.
Don't you think it's more than single parenting, though?
Well, of course it is. It's a lot of things, but you know, everybody needs a father. And you know, when I see single parents, they're mostly mothers, and I say, what happened to the fathers of America? That's where my question lies. Where are the responsible fathers of America?
Yeah. Well, you bring up some good points. I appreciate it. No matter the race, creed, color, or whatever your beliefs, no one should be gunned down in any street in America. I don't care the color of your skin or your race or ethnicity. And I got to tell you, as I'm sitting here right now, as sure as I'm sitting here, if I ever caught my two children becoming involved in something that is in any way, shape, or form breaking the law, they would have no place to hide. No place to hide from either their mother or me, because dealing with our wrath will be a lot worse than what they would have to face in a court of law. And my father told me a long time ago, you ever go to jail, don't call me. You're going to rot in there, because don't call me to bail you out. And I told my kids the same thing. We're going to be back here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno, and our special guest today, I'm glad to have him along. We're back in just a moment.
Almost time.
Now we'll find out once and for all about Clark Kent and Superman.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a TV show.
Yes, but who is he? What's his name?
He's Superman.
Golly, Clark, won't that be wonderful seeing Superman?
Fighting a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and television the MeTV way.
No one can do the things that Superman does.
The Adventures of Superman.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's 3 reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes 3.
Now on MeTV Fresno.
We have another call coming out of the break. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead, quickly.
Real quick. Every time there seems to be an African-American shot by a white individual or the other way around, it seems like in the city that everything went about was you get the Reverend Al Sharpton coming out instead of trying to calm down the people and whatnot. He makes it worse by condemning the police officer or the police chief. Now my issue is this: I says it doesn't make any difference. What happened? It happened, and everybody's going to have their pros and cons. But the whole issue here is when Al Sharpton comes out and talk for the family as he has the last 2 or 3 days, he makes the whole thing even worse by telling them that the officer was wrong, okay? What he did. That's my big issue with it, I'm one of those people that had, a reverend like that should take, he should take it and ask the people to calm down and just leave it to what's going to happen. And I don't know why that is. Every time there's a black person or individual young person, he's starting to blame the other side. That's my big issue.
Okay. I thank you very much for the call. Again, we don't have all the facts. I wish I wish Michael Brown was still here, alive, with us, so we could talk to him as well. It's sad for the family. It's sad anytime anyone loses a son or a daughter. It's not natural. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So we're going to leave it at that, and we're going to move on with our program here on Connect with Me and kind of change topics. It's that time of year. Believe it or not, Thanksgiving is upon us. It's tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving to one and to all. It's time to donate, and donate from the heart, and give to others, and be compassionate toward others that are less fortunate than you or than me. Roll the videotape, my friends. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. The Poverillo House here in Fresno is gearing up for another Thanksgiving Day feast, feeding the homeless, feeding the elderly, the hungry, the sick, and those who are all alone in the world. Now, this is the 41st year. The Poverillo House is a private, nonprofit organization that started back in 1973 when Mike McGarvin saw a need to help the less fortunate right here in the Central Valley. The POV, as I like to call it, is located on F Street, and tomorrow, as it does every day, will feed hundreds of people that file through those doors a traditional Thanksgiving Day meal with all the trimmings. I mean, look at that food there. My goodness, can I come by? All the trimmings, it's amazing. Just last week, though, they were short on turkeys, I believe, only about 200 in the house, and they need a lot more than that. So, you know, you can bring in turkeys, you can bring in canned foods any time of year. It doesn't have to be only on Thanksgiving. So this past summer, the Fresno Buddhist Temple donated $25,000 to the Poverillo House and the Community Food Bank. A dozen years ago, the Poverillo House teamed up with the Marjorie Mason Center, the Holy Cross Center for Women, and established Naomi's House, a homeless overnight shelter for women who are single and do not have children. And now they have the Village of Hope, a temporary shelter for those looking to turn their lives around, and there are many trying to do that. Live in our studio, and I'm glad to have him here for the second year in a row, Cruz Avila, the executive director of the Poverillo House. I am pleased to have him here. He is doing a great job over there in the first year of his executive what is he? The executive director of the Poverillo House. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Do call in, and more importantly, donate your time, or donate some food, donate some turkeys. We're back with our guest today and your phone calls in a moment.
This fall, there is a place, familiar and inviting, timeless and warm. Me TV, a place all your own that you can call home.
Hi, honey, I'm home.
This fall, home is where you'll find me.
You mean to tell me that's all there is to it?
That's all.
Me TV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
All right, our guest is here. Let's get to it right away. I hope I, didn't take up too much of your airtime here. We were scheduled to talk about the Poverillo House for the full hour, but with this Ferguson thing coming up, I thought it might be important to get our viewers involved in some of the goings on around the country. Kind of sad when you think about it, especially now at Thanksgiving. So how are things going at the POV, as I like to call it?
Things are going great. I mean, I think the community as a whole, excuse me, my voice is a little out from talking so much.
Yeah, that's okay.
With these holidays, but it's just amazing. The community of Fresno is always so giving. They have such big hearts to be able to donate and give not only their time, monetary gifts, but just to be able to have that passion to come into the POV and to really help our nonprofit grow and continue the mission that Papa Mike put together for us back in 1973.
Yeah, Mike McGarvin, man, 41 years and counting. I want to roll the videotape, doesn't matter which one. We're going to take a look at the Poverillo House if you haven't been down there. Tell us where you're located exactly there, Cruz.
So 412 F Street, right off of Ventura Boulevard, but obviously right off of F Street and G Street there. We're right downtown, and ready for those donations when folks are ready to come in and donate.
What are we looking at here?
So this is our warehouse. This is the warehouse where we have all our food, our canned items, non-perishable food items. This is where most of the donations go. If they're cold items, they go into our freezers. But other than that, you can see the cans and all the goods that we get donated from across the way.
Here, clothing here.
Yeah,
huh?
This is the clothing. So So Clothing Warehouse is across the way at the Holy Cross. So this is Holy Cross, where they have all the clothing. You can see the washing machines, the dryers that wash the clothes, keep them very clean for clients when they're picking up their clothing. For all the families and the women and the children
Now, let me ask you,
across
this
the way.
clothing here, when people come in, you just donate them to whoever may need a sweater,
correct,
a coat,
correct,
a pair of pants. There's no charge for that. You just give it to them.
Yeah, no questions asked. Families come in on a day-to-day basis. If it's individual, family, if it's a youth, whoever it is. I mean, the clothing and the food is there for them. No questions asked. They come in. If you'd like to come in and grab a meal for the afternoon, there's no questions asked. You come on in and we provide a meal for you. Yeah.
I tell you, I was kind of cracking up there in the monologue because, my goodness, I think I'm going to show up there on Thanksgiving, I think.
Please do.
But
more than welcome.
No. I'm not going to, you have so many people in need in this area. And the Poverillo House really is for people in need. And I know you were short on turkeys last week, right?
Correct. Yeah, we started every year we start our turkey drive. AAA donates the 80 turkeys. They've been doing it for many years now, and it's really helped the Poverillo launch off its turkey drive. And so,
hey, there are the turkeys right there.
So we have the turkeys that we're going, and that we obviously cook. But one of the main things that we want the community of Fresno to know is that they don't just get served on Thanksgiving Day. It's the full 365 days out of the year. That's why we have our mark of 1,200 turkeys within our drive, to be able to not only provide the meal for that day, which we're going to provide about 800 if not close to 900 meals that day for our lunch meal. You can see Tito, our food director, there with some of our residents and volunteers, community service workers, unloading the turkeys there and really putting those to use and putting pretty much to the meals that we provide on a day-to-day basis. So we're very blessed on that aspect, where we're getting all these donations from the community, and that they're stopping by. They're bringing 1 turkey, 2 turkeys. You see cars coming up and pulling up with folks just dropping off those turkeys, and so they're meeting the need that we had this year for our donations.
Let me ask you something, and this might be a dumb question, but I have to ask it because I've always thought this. You guys get so many turkeys. Now, you're a little bit short this year. You had, what, 200 you said last week?
As of last week, yeah. So we're a little bit over 1,000 turkeys as of right now. And so,
oh, you are?
Yeah, we're today. Good, so tomorrow being Thanksgiving, we should reach our goal. Community's always been great, and so we're looking forward to reaching our goal this year again.
So let me ask you my dumb question, and that is, I know at home in years past how long it takes to thaw that turkey out, and then you've got to stuff it, and then you got to cook it. How do you do that with so many turkeys? That must take an enormous amount of time.
Well, as you can see on the video there's all those volunteers, all our residents that are a part of our resident rehab program as well. We have 28 gentlemen in our program. It's all the prepping and cooking, with the
How long does that take? Days in advance or what?
Yeah, days in advance. I mean, definitely. We start
you
cooking.
Do that like the day before.
Yeah, no, we start cooking and prepping from Monday. Obviously, Monday of this week, we started prepping everything, cooking everything, the stuffing, the yams, the potatoes, the green beans, the turkeys themselves. We stuff them and get them all going. And so it takes like about a week process to get everything going, get all the volunteers set up. We have 40 volunteers that are going to come in and help out with our meals for that day. As you can see, some of the volunteers here in the video, prepping and getting all the stuff ready for the stuffings, the carrots, the celery, everything that goes into the stuffing there. So
is that what they're doing here?
That's what they're doing there. They're prepping, correct.
They're prepping for Thanksgiving
Day. Yeah, they're
Day.
prepping for Thanksgiving Day, yes. You can see one of our IT culinary students as well, bringing out some of those turkeys as well.
Wow.
These are the turkeys that are being cooked and sliced and getting ready to go for that Thanksgiving meal.
So you have gigantic commercial ovens that do this, right?
Yes.
You don't have like an oven that we sell here at Ventura TV, right? I mean, these are gigantic commercial ovens, right?
Once again, it's an operating kitchen and led by Tito, who's he's an amazing chef and an amazing food director in our kitchen. And
is that him?
No, this is one of our IT culinary students that comes and volunteers his time, and he's really helping us with our meals. And he's been a real asset to our volunteer team as well. He comes in and helps out with the prepping and uses his chef school tools, you can say, and comes in and helps us cook. So
yeah, although I've seen some pretty big stoves in here in Ventura TV, so I don't know, but what's going on here?
So here, they're once again, they're cooking. It's one of our cookers here, and you can actually see that they're cooking one of our meals for our clients for either lunch or breakfast, but they're prepping it.
Yeah. So. Okay, time to take a break. We're talking with Cruz Avila. He's the executive director of the Paparillo House, and we're going to go to break. You can call in at 436-MeTV option 11. We'll give out the telephone number to the POV, so you can call them, and the address one more time, so you can go down there, maybe donate some stuff. Back in just a moment.
We get our speed from Mom and Dad. They do stuff super fast. And now they got this new kitchen, so they're even faster. So they can help us with our free throws.
The time-saving Frigidaire Gallery line with a quick preheat and smudge-proof stainless steel that resists fingerprints and cleans easily. It's mealtime in no time, from start to clean. Frigidaire Gallery.
Save more during Frigidaire Gallery bonus days when you buy 3 or more qualifying appliances. See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
A top secret location. It's the spies who love me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar?
Possibly. And smart.
The old finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
We're back here talking with Cruz Avila, the executive director of the Paparillo House. And Cruz, I want to ask you about a very sensitive topic here, and it's almost turned into like a political football, and that is the homeless issue. Mm-hmm. How serious a problem is it?
It's that question's always a 50-50 toss-up. I mean, as a nonprofit that provides services for the homeless population, I mean, obviously one of our biggest goals, if not the goal that we strive for every day, is to help our homeless population and get them back on track, provide those services that they need, and really be the advocate for our homeless population. Granted, some of our clients that come through our doors on a day-to-day basis, they've been coming through our doors for many years, if not more than 10, more than 12 years. But that's where the no questions asked come in on our end, and that's part of our mission and the vision on what we have is helping our clients. But it's pulling all those resources together within the broader county and community and city to be able to work together to help that common cause. And when I say or I respond to those questions, you're never going to be able to please everybody, but as long as we're doing what we do on a day-to-day basis and we're helping our clients, that's what the POV's there for. And people can say if we're helping or if we're not helping, but at the end of the day, my family, my staff that I have on site, I mean, their hearts, the passion, their commitment on a day-to-day basis is to help our clients, and that's what we do best, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
All right, we got a phone call here. Good morning, caller. You're on Connect with Me. What's your question, please? Hi, caller. Caller, you there? You're on the air. Go ahead. Maybe they can't hear us. Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to not... you're talking about Paparillo House, but I just wonder how come you don't investigate Columbus schools? They spent almost $500,000 of taxpayers' money. How come you guys don't investigate them and Visalia school districts? And that's what I would like to know. How come you guys don't tell the people how much money they spend on their credit cards?
Yeah, I know. He's talking about a story that aired on KMPH Fox 26, our friends over there, and my buddy Eric Rosales, who kind of uncovered that. Kind of a different topic. We're not really talking about that today and the credit card abuses by the various school districts. We're here to talk about the homeless problem and the Paparillo House and what a good job the POB has done over the last 41 years serving the community and helping the less fortunate. So I want to get back to the homeless issue just a little bit. You said that you've had people come in for, years upon years upon years. Is it just in your expert opinion that they've fallen into this trap and it's like a treadmill? It's almost like a one of those mice that's, you know, on that wheel. It just keep going around and around and around and around, and they can't break free.
And I know you don't mean in a negative term with the mice running around and around and around, but I think with us at the Poverello, it's more of, mind you, I just stepped on board with the Poverello a year and some months ago, and so when you start looking and you start assessing what the resources are,
Right.
some of our clients, how long they've been coming in to receive services from us, and I think the transition, not only for myself transitioning into the Poverello, but other organizations that have a transition of other EDs stepping in or other decision makers stepping in, and I think you're starting to see a wave of change where certain services weren't being provided to the maximum, and now you start looking at that transition where they are starting to be more effective now than they were in the past. So I think we're striving forward on a very good note with collaborations and folks being able to work together as a community versus my organization does this and we do it better than you. It's not so much finger pointing anymore. It's about collaboration, and that's what we're starting to strive forward to.
Who are you collaborating with at this point?
So we collaborate obviously with the Housing Authority, with the City of Fresno, with the county, the mental health services, with the food banks. I mean, the different folks that are at the table, the Catholic Charities, the Marjorie Masons, I mean, all the folks that we provide services for, or they support us with food as well, just like we support them. It's a collaboration, right? And so that's one of the biggest things, but then looking at the bigger picture as well.
I guess what I meant, and this is with every American, anybody can fall into a routine, and almost like a trap, where you get used to a certain, I don't know if it's lifestyle or whatever it is, and it's hard to get out of that rut. We all experience that. I don't care what economic level or what part of the ladder you're on. If you're down here or down here, we all get into ruts. So I'm wondering if this is just, okay, I'm into this rut, and how do I get out of this? I need help to get out of it. How do you come in and help?
Well, I think that's it's lending that ear. I think oftentimes clients that are coming in, they're asking for that service, but yet that service isn't being provided to the fullest or to the fullest capacity for some of these clients. And so when you look at that, that's when I go back and I make the statement of the transition, that it's a transition. A lot of these clients are going through transitions, but if you're not giving them the right resources that are tools for their toolbox, then they're not going to transition to that next step. And so that's, as us as a provider needs to do that, and that's what you're starting to see a trend with all these agencies, especially at the POV. We've always done that. We'll continue to do it as well.
Roll another piece of videotape and talk about tomorrow. When will you be serving tomorrow? How many meals and what time?
So tomorrow we have our breakfast that we're serving, breakfast burritos. We'll be serving at 8 o'clock in the morning. They'll be coming in. Clients will be able to come in. It's kind of like the appetizer to the Thanksgiving meal. The Thanksgiving meal will be hosted at 12 o'clock at the POV. As you can see there, I mean, everything's, we're prepping and it continues to cook and prep as we go along this week. But yeah, the meal will be at 12 o'clock noon. Folks will be able to come in. We're decorating the family side, the single side in our day room to be able to have all the fixings and that nice holiday meal for our clients. And we're looking to serve about a little bit over 800 meals tomorrow at the Poverello House. So it'll be a great and exciting and very a blessing for us to be able to serve our clients tomorrow.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm calling to have Mr. Avila comment on the connection with Poverello House with St. Francis of Assisi.
Okay. Do you want to repeat that? I didn't quite catch that question, did you?
No, it wasn't.
Your affiliation with who?
Francis of Assisi.
Oh.
The mission statement.
Yeah.
St. Francis of Assisi. So
you're not affiliated with that organization?
No, I mean we, as far as we've maybe collaborated with them in the past, but as far as saying that, yeah, I wasn't too
clear on the question.
Clear on the question, yeah. So
okay.
I mean, we collaborate with a lot of folks throughout the city. So I'm not sure if he was saying if we were in collaboration with them or if we've worked with them in the past. But I know we're constantly working with our community as a whole.
Yeah, we're going to talk more with Cruz Avila, who is here on Connect with Me, 436 MeTV option 11. Back in just a moment.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
You can call in 436 MeTV option 11. Cruz Avila is here talking about the Pavarillo House. And so tomorrow at noon you serve that meal.
Correct.
What about other days of the year? You got 364 other days. What happens during that time? What meals do you serve then?
So a little bit of everything. I mean, there's from all the donations that we get throughout the community. I mean, we're constantly prepping those healthy and good cooked meals. Those
Is it
warm
breakfast,
meals.
lunch, dinner?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So
every
we do,
day?
So a Monday through Friday, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then Saturdays and Sundays we do our breakfast and lunch, and then so they don't go without a meal on Saturday evenings. We provide a sack lunch for them as their meal because we have we're closed from 2 o'clock on Saturdays and Sundays. So we open from 7 to 2 on Saturdays and Sundays.
I didn't realize that you serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner Monday through Friday. That's an enormous task. And that takes a lot of money, and that's why you're a nonprofit. You rely on donations.
Correct.
How many donations, how much do you get in terms of donations per year? Can you give me a fair estimate at least? Not,
well, it
not
just,
to a dollar or to
right.
a dime.
It just, I mean, it depends on a month-to-month basis. I mean, you have your private donors, you have your foundations that donate. So on a month, I mean, it can average from anywhere from $10,000 to $5,000 to a month, or it could even go higher than that, depending. Like during the holidays, folks will donate. Foundations will look at a charity to donate to or a foundation to donate to, and then Pavarillo is one of those.
And the majority of that money goes toward food.
It all goes to food and operations, and if it's
keeping the lights on,
and our trucks running, the gas. I mean, just everything that it takes to be able to pick up our donations to the direct service of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis.
And you have very few people on paid staff, right?
We have a total of 24 staff.
24 staff. Okay.
And that's also including our Naomi's House. They're part of our staff as well.
Right, and you have to have staff.
Correct.
You can't get around it. You have to have somebody run the place, pay the PG&E bill, keep the lights on, as I said. It takes money to run those ovens.
Correct.
They're not free.
No, they're not. You're absolutely right.
Roll another piece of videotape, and we'll talk about how you can get in touch with the Pavarillo House and where they're located. There is... What are we looking at here?
So this is the Holy Cross Center for Women.
Okay.
This is across the way. They're across the street at the Pavarillo House, and St. Agnes is our partner here, and they are the ones who fund this center. And you can see this is their dining area. This is an addition to their house that they have, so the women have a place to be able to relax, watch TV, be able to have conversations, vent a little bit with themselves, and just be able to hang out and just really have a warm spot and a safe spot to hang out at.
Where exactly is this located?
So this is off of 412 F Street. Once again, it's on our campus, but they're just right across the street from our administration offices in our lunchroom and day room.
And how are they affiliated with St. Agnes?
So St. Agnes is the ones who funds their program. You can see their daycare center there for the families that that come in. But St. Agnes runs and operates their program there, and they also operate the clinic. It's on the clinic is on the other side of the building there as well. But the clinic services that we have, St. Agnes staff is the ones who run the clinic as well. So so a little bit of everything. I mean, you have your full in-depth services. At the Pavarillo, like you had just mentioned earlier as we started the conversation.
Yeah, St. Agnes funds this place, and I'm a little partial to St. Agnes because they saved my life a few months ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, they put in 2 stents. I got a couple of stents put in, otherwise I might not be here right now.
No, we're happy to have you here. That's the truth.
Well, we're happy to have you here. So I know you gave the address. I want you to give the address one more time, because when people are at home and they're watching their television, it goes by once, and what did he say? What did he say? So repeat the address, and if you can give a phone number too, that'd be nice.
Yeah, so it's 412 F Street, right off of Ventura Boulevard, and can't miss us. You'll see the Poverello signs there. Or if you want to call us and get more information, it's 498-6988, and the area code is 559. And feel free to give us a call. I mean, Jessica Munoz is our contact office coordinator. Anywhere you need to get in contact with, if it's myself or any other of our staff members, always happy to be of service and to provide for the community, just like we do on a day-to-day basis there at the POV.
Cruz, let me ask you something. If someone comes in for a meal and you notice that they are ill, what do you do?
So we either refer them to our clinic, or we will work with Letty, who is our client coordinator. She'll kind of step in and we'll say, hey Letty, we see that one of our clients isn't feeling too well, or they, the orange juice isn't helping them, or the meal isn't really helping them. So then we obviously pull in our resources that we have to make sure that they get taken care of.
Do you see some people come in and their biggest problem might be at that particular moment might be dehydration, because maybe they haven't eaten?
Definitely.
Maybe they haven't drank anything?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's where our amazing staff, not only our staff, but our residents that are in the program, they're very equipped and very well maintained with any emergency situations or anything at hand. They know the process, the policies, procedures that they need to do to make sure that all clients are taken care of to the fullest extent.
So what is your greatest need right now? I know money, okay. Right. but in terms of food, donations, what are you in most need of at this moment?
Right now, obviously for the holiday season, it's always the turkeys, the hams, all the fixings that go with those holiday meals. We really want those warm meals to be able to go a long way with our clients. So really right now, it's the turkeys, it's the hams, it's all the stuff that really go with that holiday meal that you and I are, we're blessed to be able to sit down at the table and have, that some of our clients may not have. And so we want to be able to spread some of those blessings and those joys and be able to provide clients with the same kind of meals.
Yeah, and so how many turkeys will you be serving up? Will you be cooking for Thanksgiving? I know they're already cooked, but how many did you cook?
Probably the round number right now, after talking to our director in the kitchen, we're probably looking at 40 turkeys, 40 birds that we're going to be cooking.
So you have some left over for Christmas, and throughout between now and Christmas, you'll be using some of those 1,000 that you were talking about. But
correct,
you can never have too little, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we look at our numbers. We look at the meals that we're serving on a day-to-day basis, and that's what really guides us and gears us on how many turkeys we need to collect for the year, so those last the whole 365 days, and we're able to provide those meals with the turkeys and the hams that we get provided, especially with our turkey drives.
But you accept other food items,
oh,
right?
Definitely.
Cereal?
Yeah, cereals, non-perishable food items, like the cereal boxes, the salads, the proteins. I mean, all the stuff that go into making our meals, the spices, I mean, the milk, the butter, I mean, everything that goes into cooking a meal that some folks, do they need salt? Of course we need salt. Sometimes you need to put salt in the food. You need the peppers and the other spices. I mean, a little bit of everything, it all goes a long way.
Yeah. Sadly, I'm out of time. Thanks for understanding about our show today. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much.
Cruz Avila, good luck to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Likewise.
You and your family.
All
right. Everybody at the POV.
Thank you.
All right. Cruz Avila, our guest today. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're on tape tomorrow with Becky Cinema. We'll be talking about the movies and having fun. God bless you and your family. Have a happy Thanksgiving.